A year ago, I was cleaning my room after a long, arduous weekday. My laziness almost got the better of me, and I was initially planning to go to bed because I was really tired after work. On top of that, the clock was inching closer and closer to 11 p.m., but that day, I felt a little different. I gave in to the chores and cleaned those godforsaken drawers. I used to tell myself, I don't open them anyway, it's okay if I clean them next time. While I was putting my winter clothes back into the drawers, I stumbled upon a simple yet very intriguing paper box. I always knew the box belonged to my sister when we were children and shared a room, so it's no surprise that some of our things ended up in each other's closets. I said to myself, she's married now and has an infant son. I think now it wouldn't hurt if I took a peek at what she has been hiding from me for so long. Curiously, I sat down and started checking the box. It was quite small and wrapped in thick layered paper with pictures of flowers on it. Typical teenage girl stuff. I slowly started taking things out of it, expecting something fantastic or extremely valuable. Instead, I was greeted with a bunch of pictures of celebrities and actors, some stickers, and a dog pen that didn't even write. Maybe I had my hypes too high, but can you blame me for it? Because my sister went as far as hitting me when I remotely got close to the box. There must have been something important if she had a so robust, sentimental attachment towards it. Something so pivotal that she had to keep it an absolute secret. And when I was putting things I took from the box back in, I saw it. She had a diary. Was that it? I inquired myself, unable to calm down. I opened it and instantly started reading. As old as the abundant techniques of writing in general, her diary went as follows. Dear Diary, starting today, August 12th of 2017, I will be keeping a detailed documentation of my life and write about anything and everything in order to truly recall them. As for one, I vividly recall myself being in my early teens and wanting to keep a diary that I would consistently write in, recording certain events that happened throughout my life so I could truly recall them. I would visualize myself opening up a notebook and going full-on Shakespeare about my day-to-day routines. I wanted to write about my friends, family members, events, and pretty much anything and everything in my life. But when I did buy the notebook and the pen, which had the same color, I basically gave up. And when I inquired my peers about my situation, they said they did not have too much of a different situation either. In fact, every single one of them mentioned that they indeed wished to keep a lifelong diary at some point in their lives, but never committed to it. Well, of course, I did not tell you this story just to brag about how lazy and procrastinating creatures we are as the human species, but we do love keeping a diary. What is so romanticizing and attractive about remembering the past to its absolute details or ranting about certain uneasy traumatic experiences, keeping an album of photos between the pages of the said notebook, that at some point in our lives, we all, at least most of us, have tried to keep the track of our past? Or simply, why do we love diaries? Speaking of memories, the estimated memory capacity of the human brain is approximately 2.5 petabytes, or 2.5 million gigabytes. To put it in a digital comparison, 2.5 petabytes of sheer storage is roughly the equivalent of 3 million hours of continuous TV shows, or 300 years of non-stop videotape. And keep in mind, these statistics are only describing a person's brain. This vast storage comes from the estimated 100 to 125 trillion synapses, which are connections in the brain that store information in a distributed way across neural networks. What's so interesting about it is the set capacity is not fixed like the technology we use today. It's dynamic, influenced by the brain's ability to forget, adapt, and form new connections throughout a lifetime. In order to create a new memory in that tremendous threshold, firstly, information must be changed into a usable form which occurs through a process called encoding. Once the information has been successfully encoded, it must be stored in memory for later use. Researchers have long believed that memories form due to changes in brain nerves. Our understanding today is that memories are created through the connections that exist between these neurons, either by consolidating these connections or through the growth of new connections. However, to remember something by heart, our brains utilize these synapses. Strengthening them helps to commit information to memory. This is exactly why reviewing and rehearsing information improves the ability to remember it. Practice strengthens the connections between the synapses that store that memory. Much of our stored memory lies outside of our awareness most of the time, except when we actually need to use it, and memory retrieval process allows us to bring stored memories into the conscious mind. But sometimes that system fails. At the most inconvenient times, we experience a state of mind called forgetting. You were absolutely sure that you knew that one relative's name. You remembered the grocery list your mother had given you till the halfway point on your trip to the store. Well, you might be saying, no shit, Sherlock, but please bear with me, because these kind of stuff will come up later in the video. Mind you, our unconscious mind is wonderful and contains many millions of past experiences that, so far as our conscious mind knows, are lost forever. The interesting thing about forgotten memories is that you will never register that you have forgotten something unless you partially remember it somewhere or sometime, if ever. Think about your favorite TV shows, books, songs, or those close-to-heart locations you used to frequently visit as a child. Remember as much as you can. Sit down and spare yourself a night solely to contemplate whatever has happened so far in your life. Recollect every significantly insignificant ounce of your subconscious. Can you remember the time when you learned how to brush your teeth? Do you at least vaguely recall the time when you finally started writing easily on paper without making a spelling mistake every minute? Or do you remember not being able to speak perfectly fine in English? More often than not, I myself hear that innocent answer that responds with a single syllable to my presumably astounding and abrupt questions. No. We're so accustomed to forgetting things that are seen as not so pivotal to our personal lives, except when it's something that can deeply resonate with us throughout certain phases of our lives. Yet in scientific articles or in family gatherings, we occasionally brag about our brain power and how much stronger it is against specific animals' mind, which is sort of correct, but from my standpoint, it is a greatly repulsive thing to be proud of. Given this amount of storage that you probably cannot fill up even till the end of your life, we still tend to forget. And those memories don't just fly away and disappear into a gust of wind. If the truth be told, I initially thought that the lost memories are lost for a reason and can never be brought back to its original state because, well, they're lost. Come to think of it, after quite the research, I naively realized that it's far more intricate than my shallow theories. When you want to delete something off your personal computer, we just select the set file and click delete. And a file with no alternate path straightly goes into the recovery bin, which is placed to prevent accidental deletion. Even after you delete your file from the recovery bin, that file still stays in your computer. And now it will be marked as empty space and can still be recovered through various softwares, unless you overwrite the file with an equivalent amount or more data, so nothing is left behind to be recovered. But this is too much of a hassle for an average person, and obviously human brain neurons and the mind work fundamentally differently from an electricity-powered binary machine. The human brain is inarguably ineffective when opposed to machines like computers or smartphones. Although not so robust as the mentioned devices, our brain's footing in the spectrum of memories is also fascinating enough to talk about for hours on end, and those hours are fleetingly fast. And when they become past, one question emerges: why do we forget? Psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus was one of the first to scientifically study forgetting. In experiments where he used himself as a subject, Ebbinghaus tested his memory using 3-letter nonsense syllables. He relied on such nonsense words because using previously known words would have involved drawing on his existing knowledge and associations with his memory. In order to test for new information, Ebbinghaus tested his memory for periods of time ranging from 20 minutes to 31 days. He then published his findings in 1885 in a book, Memory, a contribution to experimental psychology. His results, plotted in what is known as the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, revealed the relationship between forgetting and time. Normally, information is lost very quickly after it's learned. Factors such as how the information was learned and how frequently it was rehearsed play a role in how quickly these memories are lost. The forgetting curve also showed that forgetting does not continue to decline until all of the information is lost. In July 1979, the book Cognitive Psychology finally went public. In the book, it is exhibited that a group of scientists did a series of experiments in order to evaluate how accurately people were able to recall the common everyday objects' details, those objects being daily stuff such as keys, cups, or doormats. One group of participants was given a United States penny as their object of the test. They were shown in a series of pictures depicting the penny in some or other erroneous way and were asked to find what peculiar thing was wrong with it. On balance, the results were consistent with the idea that the visual details of an object, even a very familiar object, are typically available from memory only to the extent that they are useful in everyday life. It was also suggested that recognition tasks may make much smaller demands on memory than is commonly assumed. The group who were given the wrong images of the US penny did absolutely poorly. In fact, more than half of the participants couldn't even point out what was slightly wrong with the given pictures of the penny. A true depiction of how our brain just ignores the smaller details, even if you encounter them in daily situations. This is the exact reason why we forget the most essential but daily used things, because our mind picks up the details just enough for the things to work and avoid the in-depths. With this, it spares more active memory to other, more demanding circumstances. Nevertheless, the information is lost. Where did it go? Did it go to the human trash bin in the brain, like the computers we discussed earlier? Well, not entirely like files in computers, our memories are not so different. Just because we are humans and have flesh does not mean the way we forget and recover our lost memories is straight up arbitrary. We too have different sections of our brains that respond to the different types of memories. Memories are the fruitful outcome of the connection between neurons in the brain. Different parts of a memory are stored in different regions. For instance, the hippocampus is integral for consolidating new memories. The neurocortex is a long-term storage site across sensory areas. The amygdala is associated with the emotional tone of a memory. So, when you recall something, the brain reactivates that network, and that system failing to recover is not entirely up to you. How the data was initially stored in the memory or how paramount it was to your life at that time just matters. We, as the human species, are bound to ultimately forget unimportant or mundane things. However, times such as going on your first date, weddings, or having your first child are such happy experiences that we have a tendency to not forget them, and the contrary applies to the negative and unfortunate moments in the past. Dementia is a syndrome associated with many neurodegenerative diseases, characterized by a general decline in cognitive abilities that affects a person's ability to perform everyday activities. This typically involves problems with memory, thinking, behavior, and motor control. In a survey conducted by the World Health Organization in 2021, over 60 million people reported that they were afraid to have dementia when they eventually grow old. Our memories make up what we are, and without them, we would be nothing but a hollow, semi-autonomous walking flesh. And one way to save those memories, with their finest details, would be to keep a diary. You probably don't have many places you can write honestly about things that matter the most to you. You talk to friends and family, think about things quietly to yourself, but rarely do you get these thoughts onto paper. Everyone needs a safe space to discuss how they feel without worrying about other people's opinions and judgment. Think of a diary as a safe haven for this. A diary is a place where you record events, experiences, and other personal things that interest you. You can write about whatever you like, free of outside judgment or criticism. It should be an extension of your mind, safe and free. A diary can be whatever you decide, and should be a place where you can be honest. Diary writing can be therapeutic, productive, and creative. If you have ever wanted a place to vent, reflect, and grow, a diary is that place. When talking to people, sometimes we feel as though we cannot be 100% honest. We worry about what people think, how they will react and feel. We worry about how people will perceive us after we share our thoughts and feelings with them. With a diary, you don't have to worry about anyone but yourself. You're allowed to be as honest as you can possibly be, because your diary is for your eyes only. Diaries are also a great way to record life experiences and learn from them. What you think about one thing today is probably different than how you will think about it next week, next month, or even a year later. Since the diary consists of dated entries, you will express your feelings towards something when it is fresh in your mind. You can then look back on those entries in the future and see how your feelings may have changed, or maybe how they have stayed the same. But Tommy, consistently keeping a diary is hard. So is everything else. If you have ever wanted to get better at writing, the only way is to just write. By keeping a diary and writing about what you know and what you care about, you can practice your writing in a very casual way. When writing in your diary, you don't need to worry about anything but writing. You don't have to get caught up in grammar or sentence structure. You can just write freely, and as time goes on, you can see how your writing evolves. Keeping a diary is a great way of problem solving. Maybe you are having trouble with a friend or a work colleague. Maybe you're not sure how to move forward with something. By writing down your grievances, problems, and questions, you will be able to read through them and think through them more clearly. With a diary, you don't have to keep everything bottled up inside. You can express how you're feeling and work through your thoughts and problems with your own words. Trust me when I say this. If you have any problematic thoughts in your mind, laying them in a diary is a great way to release that tension in your mind. After all, thoughts linger. Some might be beautiful, some devastating. No matter what, doing as mentioned above will not fix whatever is going on in your life right away. However, it will clear up the foggy path in front. In probably his most famous movie, The Children in the Sky, the director Zulfikar takes the role of an old composed movie director who seems to have lost his interest in producing and directing movies. The movie's premise is very nice, and the good cinematic scenes are ubiquitously found in it. 23 minutes into the movie, when asked about why he stopped creating movies in the recent decade by a reporter, he calmly responds, and I quote, "I know how to live, but I don't know what to live for anymore. You know, I feel like a person who's lost in a train station in the now past 20th century. All the trains are gone, and the whole station is hollow. Whoever could make it to the train made it. I always admired the youth. They're crystal clear and have pure hearts. End quote. He's describing the existential crisis of aging as an artist and a person. His identity was once tied to creating films, but now that fire is gone. He feels disconnected from purpose and time itself. The station metaphor shows he's stranded between past and present. While he admires the younger generation's clarity, he himself feels like a ghost of what he once was. Identity is a very vague phenomenon. Some evaluate it with documents such as passports, IDs, or societal status, while others have a profound belief that identity is robustly tied to memories, emotions, and values, as mentioned by Zulfikar above. Both are correct in their own respective opinions. Both share an underlying reasoning which is associated with the word identity. While I personally have seen many people get mad over not being able to remember very trivial things, it seems as if we're programmed to hate when we forget something accidentally. One reason why we get frustrated whenever we forget something is that every time we do so, it is usually associated with something important, like a job interview or birthdays of people close to you. Those seemingly get overlooked in the grand scheme of things. We learn something every day, regardless of whether we're being productive or not. Well, those fresh memories might not be very major, but they do clutter your mind for a while. They fill those memory slots just enough to the point you are extremely distracted, so you are very susceptible to forgetting. But these sorts of occurrences are not surprising in the slightest for the recent generation members. Even though we know the drawbacks of extremely saturated content on the World Wide Web, we still tend to fall deep into its evident traps. Everywhere you look, every aspect of everything has become a malicious hunter, not for your fortune, but for your attention, because in the greedy and merciless industry that is the internet, no corner is left untouched. It seems as if now every platform has its short-form content because it's easier to get trapped and spend 4 hours scrolling ostensibly in the blink of an eye. Hence the notorious name it's gained, doom scrolling. Everything has become something to copy. Trends are followed like a religion, not because they're fun to do, but for the attention of the viewers. And those things are evidently slaving you away, stealing your precious time. Nobody sits down and actually contemplates the fact that they've spent 27 hours on TikTok alone in the past week, which is truly a saddening view to observe. So many memories to create with friends, so many interesting things to do, so many hobbies to be taken up, but it's too easy to lie on a comfortable bed and put your mind on autopilot mode and let the algorithm do its own thing. One publisher writes deeply about this topic. In his passage to the question, "Are new generations making fewer memories?" Mark Tay responds with, "Evidence suggests new generations may be making fewer deeply encoded memories due to factors like increased reliance on technology for information recall, a potential for decreased attention spans from constant digital stimulation, and a greater emphasis on fragmented digital memories over physical and tactile ones." While younger people may exhibit strong high-definition memories of their own lives, the type and the depth of memories being formed may be shifting. That passage alone is enough to boggle your mind to the point you will scrutinize your pace in life. Try to remember yesterday. What can you really recall with the utmost accuracy? Well, that might not even matter in the grand scheme of things, right? You will never appreciate whatever you have until you lose it. And time is the one thing that you cannot buy with no amount of money. I vividly remember being 13 years old. It was autumn 2021. I was having dinner with my mom, and as I was reaching for my mug to take a sip, my mom suddenly asked me, "Are you taking pictures, Tom?" Naturally, I didn't know what she was talking about, and I was confused for a little bit because she had never talked about that kind of stuff before, nor had we ever discussed photography. "What?" I responded while being perplexed. "What are you talking about, Mom?" The next thing she said, I remember it being like yesterday. "You have a nice friend group. Take pictures and record some videos. They don't have to be perfect, but they must be honest and authentic. 20 years from now on, you'll regret the things you haven't done more than the ones you have." Ever since, I've been keeping an organized collection of pictures and videos I've taken with my friends. I've been saving every song and composition that is tied to a certain phase in my life. I have taken copious notes of many events that I have attended so far. And every time I open my Google Drive to skim through out of boredom or to look for specific pictures or videos, memories rush in. I cannot thank my mother enough for what she advised me on, because now I have a detailed collection of who I was for the past 4 years. I do have pictures where I look really ugly. I do have videos where I act really dumb and that I have a single care about how others reacted. I do have a whole collection of me and my friends with weird and goofy looking smiles, but they were real. Those smiles were genuine, and I didn't have to worry about how I look. I didn't have to overly stress if a shirt with a certain color matched with pants with a certain color. And as mentioned above, we can do nothing but sadly smile and move on with our day. The more we live, the more we create memories, whether grieving or joyful. It is this inevitability that makes us try to forget peculiar things, or the ones that gives us something to crave bitterly. Reviewed by Malika Marshall in the spring of 2022, Harvard Health Publishing released an article about memory. In it, it stated, "In many ways, our memories shape who we are. They make up our internal biographies, the stories we tell our souls about what we have done with our lives. They tell us who we are connected to, who we have touched during our lives, and who has touched us. In short, our memories are crucial to the essence of who we are as human beings. The most average lifespan that dogs have is 12 years. Our memories are crucial to the essence of who we are as human beings. It is specified as human beings. To my mind, mankind has the most enough lifespan amongst any other animal on this planet. The average life expectancy of a single person, regardless of their gender, ethnicity, or beliefs, is 72 years. Some might say it's a short amount in the bigger picture. Well, compared to dogs, it's much, much longer. No matter how much time we spend on Earth, it must be something, because hundreds of billions of people who could have died didn't even get the chance to be born. We're so oblivious to this fact that we don't even consider thinking about the unborn, because they have their memories of you as much as you have of theirs, which is non-existent. Well, firstly, we value the legacy of a person a lot. But what's the point of trying to remember somebody if they never died or existed? But secondly, that's actually a pretty good definition of the self. You are everything you take with you when you die. Your secrets, the things you could have done, said, but never did. That's what you are. Now, you can desperately try to do as much as you can and leave as much as on the table as possible, but life is short. Too short? Well, the famous astrologist Neil deGrasse Tyson has pointed out that the brevity of life might not even matter when evaluating the meaning of life. If you live twice as long, would your life have twice the meaning? If you were immortal, would the meaning of life magically reveal itself? Unfortunately, no. He mentions that if he were immortal, he probably wouldn't have been an astrologist. He gives a concise explanation that all his life, Tyson was motivated by the inevitable death. That drive kept him going on his way. Knowing he was eventually going to pass away someday made him fear death, but also made him utilize that fear as fuel in life, because if you knew you were never going to die, you wouldn't have a care in the world, because you would always have more time. Yes, more time to put in the work and achieve as much as you can, but also more time to waste away, because we humans are hardwired to leave out the hardest as the last priority. It is an inherent trait we have, and throughout thousands of millennia it has taught us to conserve time and energy, because no matter what you do or achieve, you cannot get more time. Despite having ginormous amounts of memory and still failing to remember what you ate for lunch 2 days ago, that seemingly endless yet ineffective at times memory lane helps to make us who we are. It allows us to function in our daily lives, forge relationships that are vital for our well-being, and remember important events from our past. As mentioned above, memory isn't perfect. Understanding what it is and how it works can offer insights into what you might be able to do to make yourself stronger or powerless depending on it. Memory is something that you share with the individuals you know. It's on the cracks of the pavement where you used to go to your best friend's house. It's in the stems of the delicate tulips you bought for your loved ones. It's in the fluorescent lights of your bedroom at night while you secretly stay up late. Life is short, and there's always an option to make more memories. In a sense, nothing really stops moving on, and it's something that we have to get used to and pursue on the side. I still fold my shirts like my grandma taught me when I was in elementary school. I still hum the same song that a childhood friend and I used to sing on the bus, long before we knew what growing up would mean. And I guess that's the thing. Everyone we've ever had the privilege of loving leaves something behind in us. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's almost invisible, but it stays. It weaves itself into our routines, into our choices, into our habits. I never regret how my friends seemingly changed from their old selves, because in a way, those old souls are still with me. In ways I've noticed, and in ways I probably haven't even discovered yet. Maybe that's what it means to really live a life surrounded by memories. And suddenly we talk about career, relationships, marriages with the same people you once talked about, toys or school. Our past and present teach us that no matter how ridiculous the odds may seem, within us resides the power to overcome these challenges and accomplish something beautiful. And one day, we'll look back at where we started and be amazed by how far we've come.